Hey guys, welcome back to Fudce playing World End Economica. Chris, creating a tablet as she used it, looked up at me as I passed through the living room. Sorry, later, okay? That's what I said to Chris as I walked down the corridor from the front door. As I opened the door, Chris stood right in the middle of the room and said, "We really need to talk later, okay?" Might have just been my imagination, but she was speaking faintly. I nodded, raising my hand, and slipped through a barely open door. The door closed with a slam as the cold outdoors pierced through my body. God is with us. I muttered about walking down the chilly corridor with my cane. I didn't think Eleanor was living in the outer district. Making that estimation, I headed towards Newton City by train, making a call to Le Goff. She said something about Madam not receiving any visitors. When I told him it was imperative I meet her, he responded curtly that he would convey the message. Maybe he didn't want someone like me near her, but I felt something helpless emanating from Le Goff. Eleanor had been swatting like a fly, and one who did it was too powerful. Anyone who got swatted has to come to grips with her own insignificance. All one had to do was remember how that middle-aged anti-Avalon man looked during the company tour at Avalon. What he said wasn't far from the truth, and it represented the majority feeling. And yet, it was made a laughingstock there. So powerless and out of place, it was embarrassing to even acknowledge his presence. The gathering in the stock market wasn't like general goods store. It didn't focus on the wealth of the individual. It could grasp the very core of people's livelihoods. Maybe I got a little full of myself when I was told I could analyse the people behind the numbers. I couldn't comprehend the reality behind the sheer amount of cash, but these words made me feel good. Even on the train, the news about Eleanor was showing up on the monitors. Reporters and so-called experts were using panels as they put on triumphant airs and explained Eleanor's profit reciprocity. My heart felt oddly still. I couldn't even say I was angry at the guys on the other side of the screen. Instead, I only felt some sort of emotion about them bullying Susie Wu. It could be that money found its way to the media too. This was Avalon wanting to bear down on Susie Wu. Turning the eyes of the world towards her would mean everyone would be distracted from their company, causing the energy cost increase. The same principle behind selecting stocks. There are many things you knew for certain that you couldn't remember unless you were reminded. Like tragedies and hotspots and terror, or a protest being held in front of Avalon headquarters. If that wasn't what was going on, then I guess it simply was one girl against Avalon Iceman. The man acting unjustly whilst in league with Avalon. But I had come to know Eleanor, and I'd been taken her by the hand. I'd come this far, I couldn't just pretend I didn't see it. I couldn't pretend it never happened, I just needed to move forward. Even if I realised there was no path before her, I felt I should be by her side. I got off at Central Station amidst the lingering sounds of a morning rush, then headed towards the exit that Le Goff told me to take. It led to a residential district on Clapton Square. It was a wide, gently sloping road with houseplants and even a miniature waterfall tank area. It was most certainly an upper-class apartment complex. All roads headed towards the station were overflowing with confidence about a care in the world, the complete opposite of the mood in the outer district. As I continued down, I ended up in the lobby with a reception desk, and Le Goff was there. His clothes, which seemed to be far from another era, didn't seem nearly out of place here. "Madam will see you now." I nodded slightly. He stood a bit in front of me, entering the automatic door behind the reception desk. We both continued down without speaking, riding towards another floor in an elevator that seemed more suited for a hotel. When we reached the 32nd floor, we were greeted by the sight of a large goldfish-filled pond and waterfall. The corridor was carpeted, of course, and chandeliers hung from the ceiling. Le Goff continued down the corridor, without hesitation, stopping in front of door 3215. Arrogantly, he looked down at me. A former private banker, who knew how much allowance Eleanor had. Him following Eleanor all the way to the moon as a guardian probably wasn't just a matter of being duty conscious. A lady and the old butler who had protected her. It was like a European fairy tale playing out in front of me. There was history and tradition here. Le Goff was truly an embodiment of that as he bowed deeply. I'll leave Madame to you. I am powerless. This was the moon, brewing with greed and intrigue, for hell on 3rd Street, but even the Pope had gave up on. I nodded, and walked through the door the Goth opened. The first thing I noticed was the new home smell. That smell brand new buildings gave off, free that lived-in feeling. Just a pile of luggage, the cardboard boxes were stacked against the walls of a wide semicircular main entrance hall, reaching nearly to a 2nd floor railing. Cardboard boxes surrounded on me either side of a hallway. Were probably all carried in after Platinum Smith cancelled the hotel reservation. Eleanor! I called out in the hushed hall, but no reply. I had no choice but to enter and continue onward. It appeared to be a maisonette. I began searching the 1st floor section of the rooms. Dining hall, kitchen. A room that looked like a hotel rec room, so big I couldn't even imagine how long it went on for. The doors to all the rooms were wide open, emitting a brand new chemical smell. All the furniture seemed fixed in place. On the opposite side was a bath and terrace. I could only sigh dejectedly at the bath, from where there was a view of Newton City skyline. Of course, there was no sign of Eleanor. I made my way back to the entrance and went up to the 2nd floor. Ascending the steps led to a long stretching hallway with rooms on either side. The structure was simple, but I grew tense. There was a vast amount of paper scattered down the hallway, crumpled up, torn. There all appeared to be written notes of some sort. Making my way over to a carnage, I entered one room with a door ajar. There before me was a recreation of a hotel room. No, it was much worse. Any cardboard box was in reach was then turned over and contents spilled out to a mess. I could imagine the holes in the wall were likely from a chair that was now overturned on the floor. And there, just as in the hallway, was a huge pile of shredded notes. It seemed like any document she could get her hands on which had torn to pieces. I looked over one of these sheets. It was in Eleanor's slightly stylised handwriting. Reading a bit of that made it feel like something had clenched around my heart. That trail of shredded paper extended to one corner of a wide room. At the end there was another door, half opened. My heart thudded heavily as I held my breath and made my way over. Slowly I opened the door, which led to a changing room attached to a bathroom. A single large sink and a single large mirror. A vast amount of torn paper. I pressed forward without hesitation. I used my cane to push open the glass door slightly ajar, just in case. However, the large tiled bathroom wasn't splattered red. That relieved me a bit, knowing I then knew that Eleanor was fine, but that was only because I could hear a faint sound of her sobbing. I entered the bathroom and approached a tub, careful not to slip on the torn paper, as plentiful as it was in Mrs. Church's living room. Within, Eleanor appeared tiny as she cradled to her knees and wept. I'm just going to leave that there for a second. I will admit when I first saw that image there just then, swing aside me just fell. That beautiful, powerful woman. Crushed. I looked down at her and said, "Didn't you say you were going to bite down and never let go?" She didn't react. I lightly poked the torn pages with my cane, speaking once again. "Eleanor." "Enough!" She screamed without looking up. I looked down at Eleanor with my expressionless face. A man could never be perfectly rational. "What do you want me to do? Do you have a plan? Go ahead and say it." She looked up and glared at me. Her face was a mess from crying so much, and her eyes and nose were red. "Is there anything?" "There isn't, is there?" "Nothing." "Then, why did you let me in?" She pressed her lips together when I said that, looking like a little girl who'd lost her temper. "I'm not Superman, so I can't come up with solutions just like that. But you of all people should all be aware of that, Eleanor." "Then?" Her voice was raspy because maybe she just screamed. "Then why?" "Because I thought it meant something." I knelt down as I spoke, and then jumped and pulled away a bit, startled. But all I did was pick up a torn note at my feet. These are all about Avalon, aren't they? One thing I've learned over the last 4 years is that there's a difference between accepting and rejecting what's happening in the past. Also, it's still a rather unsightly last-ditch effort. It takes a vast amount of energy to stay angry. Straining oneself for screaming is part of that. Ella was so exhausted from crying and exhausted from screaming, she looked at me with a partially absent-minded look on her face. For now, let's get out of the bath, it's silly. I said that, Eleanor sniffed and rubbed her eyes. On terror, this is what everyone does. I shrugged and held a hand out to Eleanor. Your hands are all messed up. Where's the first aid kit? More unlikely, a hanger took complete hold of her as she went around tearing up the tossed away notes. Eleanor's hands were all cut from a paper. Below the dresser. Dresser, you mean, miss? I had a decent first aid kit when I opened up each of the drawers next to a large mirror. Taking some adhesive bandages from it, I pressed Eleanor to go into the next room. What a state to be in. Rise went for both the room and Eleanor, but she didn't say much of anything. Instead, she just did as I asked and sat quietly in the chair, just set back on its feet. You normally don't use this house? I asked as I bandaged up her hands. This is the second time I've come. Maybe twice to such a large home. I couldn't even imagine how much of a rent this place was. She'd been in the hotel all this time. She nodded without speaking. It was like she got up with one ear for each finger I bandaged. From a 5-year-old to a sensible young woman. Maybe that's why she was still out to it when I finished bandaging her hands. I only put 10 bandages on. Are you really going to throw the notes away? She looked at her hands as she was just wearing some kind of avant-garde gloves, one asked her. Then when she looked around the room, it looked like she might burst into tears again. Let's gather them up. She nodded silently at my words. The silver lining of the situation was that Eleanor hadn't ripped the notes into tiny pieces, but bundled up and torn, flung away. She tore more. Since she didn't like that, pages fell in bundles, so they didn't look impossible to recover. The page was numbered, and Eleanor could figure out the next page by reading a bit of the content of a previous one, so I gathered up the majority of the pages flung against a wall in a blind rage. There were 5 volumes in total, but half a page of the main portion was still intact. Do you think I would like to see how you looked when you were tearing us up? When I said that, Eleanor went bright red and made her face as if she swallowed a rock. When she continued to work on the pages in her hand, she spoke. You truly are cruel. I thought that'd cheer you up. She looked at me. It did. That's great. I said that brazenly. While I was on my way over here, the news, still nothing on the news but Susie Wu. She didn't show that much reaction, but stayed silent, smoothing her creases out of the pages without looking up. Just as you said, the eye of the world is focused pretty hard on her. If so, I think... Now we focus on you, when you can come out saying that you are Susie Wu, explain what you're doing this because Avalon is suspicious. That would be the last-ditch effort. One of them. She turned her vision back to the papers in her hand and smoothed the creases from pages as she spoke. But the company grandfather left me in charge went under. Set things into motion in various places trying to expose Iceman's wrongdoings. Are you aware of how they were transgressed? The reason that Eleanor's eyes appeared lifeless was probably because she was looking back into her past. From a wayside, it's fairly obvious that what Iceman is doing is quite unusual. But such a thing means nothing to others. The media is a business on itself, so I chose to go, haha, some self-indulgent terror, no, but got ruined. Instead, that type of thing strikes better over here. I recall the tone of the articles on Eleanor when I set out to search for them. Just as you said. That's how things were if you thought about it normally. Eleanor took things to extremes when she was decisive. But she did at least know how to act on stage. She tried legal methods and they failed. It was probably why she ended up becoming Susie Wu. She sighed dejectedly and spoke. It's all showbiz. If I were to go out there and now, it would be uncouth and I'd just be made a laughingstock. So what would be his last-ditch effort? She inquired as I was feeling depressed about the sad state of affairs on the moon. A straight-on frontal assault. We throw all the information into a legal system. Into a legal system would accept a fictitious individual would open a bank account and invest? It wasn't that it was a completely meaningless for her to tear up all the notes in the choir bathroom. That was all she could do, as how dismal things had become. Better than doing nothing. I spoke that as if I was muttering. That may be true. Eleanor said that as well. Then, when she looked at her paper piled high because of wrinkles, she revealed what I said resembled a smile on her face. Plus, doing something does serve as a fine distraction. It's important in calming down. She suddenly fell silent when looked over at me. She seemed like she was about to burst into tears again. Are you being facetious? Then she said that. For a few moments I wasn't sure what she was asking me. But by the time I realised it, my shoulders were already shaking and I was close to laughing. It looked rather wonderful screaming. Her eyebrows furled like she was holding off a headache. When she pouted, she returned to assembling the papers. Meanie. I just shrugged. Then we went on unwrinkling the papers together for a bit. We worked on arranging them, but the room was just too quiet. All the usual furniture was in the room, so naturally there was a monitor on the wall. Can I turn on TV? I do not mind. Susie Woo's still being beaten on, she's dead. I see. They may release new facts. Like her measurements? Holding a deep grudge against the media, Eleanor said something to the public probably eat up. In fact, given the animosity of the media, possibly addressing the topic didn't seem that far off. We turned on the TV and returned to work. Right off the bat, it showed Susie Woo's appearance of past programmes. I spoke as I watched that unfold. So exactly how high did it go? Eleanor smiled and tilted her head without pausing. Perhaps you mean the hair? Yes, your hair. She giggled and I shrugged my shoulders. Time flew as it was soon noon. Eleanor wanted to order something and remembered the golf. I suggested him. Eleanor seemed a bit shocked at my proposal, perhaps because she herself had forgotten about him. When important people remained by your side too long, you could sometimes forget that they weren't here. At least that's what I thought. The media was basically just repeating the same thing over and over again, so partway through Eleanor appeared to not put up a bold front and simply lose interest. They could just say what they wished. I have a true fear, and more importantly, there were others beside myself who knew. Eleanor's eyes met mine as we worked. I laughed bashfully as each other as if to confirm that. There was meaning behind me coming, even if I had done nothing new. Even if I didn't provide any new type of solution, there was meaning behind me being here. Around 3 PM, the majority of papers have been restored. Though when I say restored, I pretty much mean the obvious stuff. There are still detailed bits left to do. Even so, it was back to a state where she knew what she had done up to this point. I felt like it was good enough. And I suppose the last-ditch effort will be to submit it to the legal system. As I watched the TV absent-mindedly, Eleanor brought in some coffee and asked me that. I thought she'd gone out of her way to fix me a cup. It turns out she had it delivered from a cafe downstairs. I think that's fine. I do feel rather reluctant to submit it, though, knowing how unreliable they are. That's not the sort of thing I expect to hear from someone who went to the ends of the moon. My. Ella smiled and took up a cup. Really is quite unfortunate, though. I really think it would have liked seeing Susie Woo waving around evidence documents as she denounced Avalon on TV. I've strained my throat a little from all that yelling. It's quite difficult to just express something to someone. When I said that, still watching my monitor, I suddenly felt eyes on me. Of course, there was no one else it could be other than Eleanor. Smiling, she still looked at me. What is it? No, I feel that's quite true. She put down a coffee cup and looked at the screen. To convey something, someone takes passion, courage, and the faith to believe something so silly isn't silly. I'd done nothing to advocate stock brands. But it was quite eye-opening. The solid reactions came from things I felt strongly about. I spoke of with emotion, not necessarily things backed up with numbers. Really? Why, yes. Didn't you revise against this program when you saw the market moves by feeling? Well, yes, I did. But that's how it is. By allowing a machine free to run, that's all it ended up being. In the first place, isn't Eleanor Schweitzer inadequate for this? It would be out of character for me to run around screaming. She said that with a nod of her head. But I do believe that at some point, there will be a person who would go on a rampage. There doesn't seem to be many with a voice that's as loud as Susie Woo's, though. Honestly, which is it, Haru? Are you trying to make me give up or not? I raised my hand up to my shoulders. Sorry. I did all I could. Everything I was able to. Thought everything I could think. I even went to the ends of the moon, to be certain. Of course, I am sad, making it only part way, but... I'm thinking of crying, and tried to hold back her tears, but a few did fall. Excuse me. Yep, excuse me too. Because I'm going to end the episode here. Thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.